We can start with Tatum. Obviously, we'll get to Steph Curry and some other stuff so far. We did this between games 2 and 3 last week. So why don't we just talk a little bit about games 3 and 4? But I think we should start with Tatum, and I'm as befuddled as anyone as to his struggles in the second half. We saw in game 2 he had a good first half. The other night he had a good first half, and then you get to the second half, and in particular the fourth quarter, and he just has been bad. I don't know how else to put it. And we have talked for 2 or 3 months now, pretty much since we had him on the show and Boston went from 11th in the East to 2nd in the East. We talked about this leap that he's made from a star to a superstar, and it's really interesting to see him struggle like this. I have some stats here, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on it, Tyrese. What have you seen or what have you noticed about Jayson Tatum in this series, besides the fact that Andrew Wiggins is the greatest defender on earth now?
I liked in game 3, and you heard Van Gundy talk a little bit about it on the broadcast, but I thought he was making his decisions quicker, getting the switches with Steph or whoever it was, and just kind of get into the cup, not settling as much. I thought he made that an emphasis in game 3 or game 4 or game 3. I thought
it was game 3. He talked about game 3. Yeah.
Game 4, I feel like he's been settling. I feel like he's been settling a little bit more. I feel like it's just they're making it tough on him right now. I'm very curious to see his responses in game 5 tonight.
I have a question for both of you guys. So this has been talked about a decent amount. We've talked about it a little bit. The Celtics, when they've committed 16 or more turnovers, are 1-6, and they're 13-2 with 15 or less. This goes into this. This was a big problem Tatum had the other night on Friday. Is this just lack of focus? Is it why does this keep happening with them? Because it does seem like if they could just clean this up, this series, I don't know, it might not be over, but it would be close to being over.
I'm not going to use the LeBron comparison, but I'll say the difference between a LeBron or even a Luka at that size is that they control the half-court setting. They manipulate every possession, and they just, by and large, they just make the right play over and over. And I've talked about Jayson Tatum's decision-making a ton, and when that decision-making gets poor, a lot of times it is him getting sped up. I feel like at times he gets sped up and he drives into no man's land without a plan. And that's really tough. I think about playing with Luka and playing with Ben, and of course watching LeBron and playing against him. Those guys are all big. They can make any pass at any time. And sometimes I wish I was Jayson Tatum's teammate, and I just wish I could walk over to him and put my arm around him and whisper in his ear, "Hey, Jayson, you're 6'10", you're 6'9". Like, you don't have to get sped up. You can literally shoot over anyone and make any pass. You don't have to be in a rush. And Jaylen Brown's guilty of this too at times, where he's jumping off of 1 foot in traffic and then trying to make a play. And both those guys, by and large, when they're having high turnover nights, it's those 2 guys that have the bulk of those turnovers because they're their high usage players. Some quick stats. You mentioned 34% for the series, Tyrese, which is fast. He's 9 for 34, 27% in the second half. He's ran 20 ISOs in the second half for the series. Those ISOs have generated 0.56 points per ISO. That's fucking god-awful. That's terrible, okay? He's 4 for 16 in the fourth quarter, and he's 1 for 9 off the dribble in the fourth quarter. So, yeah, some of it is the turnovers. Some of it is the dude just can't make a shot in the second half. And we can sit here, we can do a video breakdown of every single play, but some of that, I think, is those ISOs. It's not taking advantage of his size over and over again. And I don't know, you see him do it certain games, and then he comes back and he does it for a half, and then it just like it goes. I don't know. Are you seeing any adjustments that they're making on him in the second half? I for one, am not really seeing adjustments here.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything different. I feel like they're throwing the same things at him. I think part of the reason is the Warriors have been the best, obviously the best third quarter team in the league for a while. And when they start the third quarter so well offensively and they're scoring, that requires Boston to play more in the half court offensively in the second half, especially the third quarter specifically. So I feel that's leading to more of his struggles, where the first half they're getting more stops to where he can get more transition baskets and kind of get going in the flow of the game. And it really, I feel like it really gets tight, in the second half, which could be, part of the reason leading to him turning the ball over so much and kind of just making some bad decisions at times.
JD, I was going to ask you, you've played against this Warriors team a lot. Is there anything to he's a little tired?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure, having gone through 2 straight 7-game series that required every bit of his energy and emotion and will to get these guys to this point and then play 40 minutes a night against the Warriors. Yeah, there's always that factor. The point I was going to make about those shooting stats, I'm not going to name the player, but I remember there's a really good player, really good offensive player that got off to a really slow start like 2 months into the year. And of course, there was a regression to the mean, and he ended up, shooting 45% from the field and close to 40 from 3. But different player, but similar, shot profile. This guy's going to take a lot of shots off the dribble. He's going to shoot a lot in ISO. And a guy that works in the front office in the league texted me one night. We were talking about this player, and he's like, I mean, you're just going to have stretches of the season or stretches of games where you have these just abhorrent shooting nights because you're taking tough shots. And that's where I think they've got to figure out a way. And I don't know if that's cutting or trying to manipulate more to get deep post position against, Curry or a Poole, like figuring out a way to get switched onto those guys. But they've got to get him some easy buckets. That to me is, and again, the Warriors are a good team. They're not going to be like, hey, Jayson, have a layup. But, again, if you track this stuff throughout the playoffs, every series, even at the rim this series, he was shooting 64%, 68%, 56% in every other series. He's under 50% at the rim this series. So, I mean, again, some of it is the Warriors defense. Some of it is your guy Wiggins, your favorite player. And some of it is the guy just can't make a shot in the second half of games.